Today we're going to jump into our second part of our video series on syllable division and how I teach it to my students. Last week I did a video, which was video 1 on syllable division, and we talked about open and closed syllables. Today we are going to dive into the other syllable types, how I teach them, and how to make sure my students learn how to attack those words that they come across in their reading that they don't know. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, please keep on watching. Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Anna DiGilio. I was a primary teacher for 23 years, and on this channel, I like to share professional development videos with teachers to help them really streamline their instruction and bring rigorous instruction to their classroom, especially when it comes to small group instruction, reading primarily, but we're going to be digging into a little bit of math soon too. So I am all about small group instruction. I did it all the time in my classroom for reading and math. So that's really where my kind of zone of genius lies. I believe strongly in small group instruction. So if those are the kinds of videos that really interest you, please click that subscribe button and that little bell next to it so that you're alerted every time one of my new videos goes live. So today we're actually going to jump into our part 2 of our series on syllables. So last week I did a video on open and closed syllables, and I'm going to actually put a link right up here to let you see that one as well. So we talked about how I teach syllable division in my classroom, and we talked about open and closed syllables in video 1, and we also talked about how I get my students to understand how to clap out their syllables, how to know if it's a 1-syllable word or a 2-syllable word, and we got into open and closed syllables. We talked about open syllables where an open syllable ends with a long vowel, and we talked about closed syllables where we talked about CVC words. Now, in this video, we are going to go in deep until all the other types of syllables and syllable division rules. So we're going to go into the magic E rule. We're going to go into our controlled vowels. We're going to go into Vowel Teams. We're going to go into that consonant+LE at the end of a word. And I'm going to show you how I incorporate teaching my students how to divide syllables and how to know how to divide syllables and what the syllables are when they divide them. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. So we're going to jump right in. So last week, as I mentioned, we talked about open and closed syllables. We talked about open syllables where we know that the open syllable ends in a long vowel, and we talked about closed syllables where they're closed in by consonants. Now, I believe in scaffolding my instruction. So when we talked last week, we talked about our CVC words and how they're closed in by consonants. Our vowel sound is closed in by consonants, and that's why they're called a closed syllable. And we have a short vowel in the middle. Now today, I'm going to tell you how I bring in another closed syllable, because a closed syllable doesn't have to be closed in on the front end. It has to be closed in on the back end after the short vowel sound. But again, I believe in scaffolding my instruction. I don't want to shoot a fire hose in my students' mouths or ears on all the syllable things and how we learn them. So I am very strategic when I teach syllable and syllable division. So when we talk about closed syllables first, in my first couple of lessons where we're doing syllable clapping and 1- and 2-syllable words and dividing 1- and 2-syllable words, and then we go into open and closed syllables, now is when I get into telling them about how a closed syllable is closed on the end. So this is a closed syllable where it's a CVC word, but now I get into also talking to them about the closed syllable where it isn't closed on the front end, like how cat is closed on the front and the back after the vowel, the front of the vowel and the back of the vowel with a CVC word. Now I'm going to teach them and add on and scaffold my instruction to teach them another type of closed syllable. So we're going to dive into that today. So the way I teach the other syllable rules every year is through a making words activity. It is the perfect type of activity to not only teach multiple skills, we're going to be talking about blending phonemes and segmenting phonemes and phoneme deletion and also phoneme substitution. So in a making words activity, which I'm going to show you now, in a making words, all my little letters are going everywhere. In a making words activity, what we do is so many different skills. All those skills in a making words activity. But then I also incorporate the concept of understanding syllable division. It is the perfect way to introduce it to your students. So what we're going to do today, and also stick with me to the end because I've got freebies for you. Lots of fun freebies, so don't leave me, all right? Because you know I'm going to hook you up with some freebies, all right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to get started. We are going to start with the magic E rule. Now remember, on my syllable fan, I'm going to show my students the magic. I'm going to show them the syllable fan. We're going to talk about the magic E rule. We're going to talk about how that E on the end is silent and it makes the vowel long. And the way that we do that, this is called the mule rule, right? Because it's got that long vowel sound and it's got that magic E at the end. We talk about it. I'll even do some brainstorming with them about any words that they know that have a long vowel and have that silent or magic E at the end. We do a little bit of auditory brainstorming, right? And then after that, we'll move into a making words activity. So this is my making words activity. Now, I have all of these activities for probably every single sound you could possibly need when it comes to making words. So this is exactly how I teach syllable division, but I incorporate it with all of the other phonics skills that we're dealing with. We're dealing with phonics. We're dealing with blending words. We're dealing with segmenting words. We're dealing with, in this particular lesson, we're also dealing with phoneme deletion and phoneme substitution. So there's so many phonemic awareness activities that are built into this. So let me show you exactly how this particular lesson works. So I do this every week in small group instruction. I will integrate it into my guided reading lessons, and typically I liked to do a making words lesson on Mondays in my class because it would always match our spelling words of the week. So our spelling words and our phonics skill always matched every week. So I always did a making words activity that matched our phonics and spelling skill for the week. Here's what we're going to do. So as you can see here, we have a teacher prompt. We have teacher prompts, and we also have the student booklet as well. Now the student booklet typically has all of these letters all on the bottom, and all the students have to do is snip the bottom off and then cut up the letters. Now my students, when they came to reading group, always knew exactly how to do this because we did it every week. It took them less than a minute to fold their paper, cut up their letters, and they were ready to go. And I always told them to bring their letters to the top of their booklet so they didn't fall off the table or go fly away. So this is how we would start this unit. And I would say to them, they would organize all of their letters. And I always made sure that if we had letters that were like D's and P's, they would have the line under it so they would know if it was a D or a P. As you can see here, we have a P and a D, so you could see the line under it, which really helps them make sure that they have the right words. So this is how it would look when they got ready and got started on a lesson. And I'm going to show you a picture right here, what it looks like when my students were getting ready for this activity. So this is how this activity works. What I would do is I would say, okay, boys and girls, today we're going to work on long vowel sounds with that magic E or silent E on the end. Now this one has it has long O and long I together. But I have freebies for you, so stick with me. But typically I would only do one long vowel at a time. So I would do maybe the long vowel A with the magic E, the long vowel I with the magic E, the long vowel O. But after my students have had some experience with magic E words and CVCE words, then this might be an activity that I do with multiple words so we could practice all of our skills. So I'll say, okay, boys and girls, I want you to make and build the word note. Build the word note. So they would pull their letters in front of them and they would build the word note. Now, after they build the word note, I'd say, okay, let's put our fingers under the letters, and I want us to say the sounds and then blend them together. N-O-T, note. Let's do it again. N-O-T, note. How many vowel sounds, or what, first I'll say, what vowel sound do you hear in this particular word? We hear O, N-O-O-O-O. We don't hear that E. It's that magic E. It's silent. And that magic E makes the vowel say its name. Now, again, we've done this multiple times already with just knowing what words are when we're doing reading groups. So now I'll say, okay, boys and girls, how many vowel sounds are in the word note? How many vowel sounds do you hear? Well, we hear one. Excellent. That means this is a one-syllable word. Let's clap it out. Note. One syllable. Excellent. So now I'll say, you know what, boys and girls? You know what I want you to do? I want you to create the word noted. Noted. I noted the information on my piece of paper. Noted. I noted it. So I'll say, make the word noted, and then they're going to bring in their D. Now, typically, I will always have ing and ed extra letters on the side because this is how I do it. Now, if you look at the teachers, it's not telling you to do that. But if I want to bring in syllables and I want to teach syllables here, this is what I'll do. So the first thing they're going to do is before I have them make noted, they're going to write note. So they write note on their paper. Now I'll say, oh, boys and girls, make noted. So here's noted. Let's clap out noted. Note, ed. Let's do it again. Note, ed. What vowel sounds do we hear? We hear O, no, O, 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 and we hear ed. Note, ed. Now, let's separate that word, noted, okay? Now, this is where I'll talk to them about this syllable right here. This syllable right here, okay? Because this is also a closed syllable. So I'll say to them, what kind of syllable is this, boys and girls? Do you know? Last week we talked about open and closed syllables, or however long ago. What kind of syllable is this, ed? What do you think it is? And I'll teach them it's a closed syllable. And I'll say to them, but boys and girls, when we did this was a closed syllable because it was closed in by our two consonant sounds. And then I'll say, yes, that's true. This is called a CVC word. But this particular syllable is also considered a closed syllable because it is closed in by the D on the end and it has a short vowel here. So that's the way I'll bring in the other part of a closed syllable, that it doesn't have to be closed on the beginning and the end, like we did a CVC word, because again, we want a scaffold. This is how I'll bring it in. So I'll say, that is also an open, a closed syllable because it's closed in with a consonant and it has a short vowel E, ed, ed, it's closed. This part, this ed that we add to the ends of words many, many times is a closed syllable. So that's how I'll do that. I'll say, okay, boys and girls, let's go back to the word note. So now on my teacher notes, you can do two things. You could do one of two things. You could say, okay, boys and girls, I want you to change the N in note to a T. Or if you want to make it more difficult, you could say, I want you to change the word note to the word tote. So what they would do is they change the word note to tote. Now again, it's a great way to differentiate. If you're working with strategic intervention learners, you might want to start it with saying, change the N in note to a T. And then you're giving them the directions. So this is a lot of skills. Auditory. They're looking at the letters. They're trying to find the letters. So they're doing letter identification. They're listening. They're following directions. Lots of skills there, right? Or if you want to make it harder, you could say, I want you to change the word note to the word tote. without telling them to change the actual letter. They have to figure out what letter to change. So it's a very easy way of differentiating this activity. Instead of saying, change the N in note to a T. That's how I have it on the teacher prompt. But if I want to differentiate, I'll say, change the word note to the word tote, and not tell them what letter to change. Now they've got to look at the word note, say, what do I have to change in order to change note to tote? Again, now we're talking about understanding phonemes, right? We want to think about the phonemes, hear the phonemes, and then do phoneme substitution. That's what we're doing here. This is part of phonemic awareness. So change that. That's phoneme substitution. And then blending, right? We want to blend, phoneme blending. Now let's blend this word, tote. There's that magic E. It makes the O say its name. This is a long vowel O. Let's clap it out. Tote. How many vowel sounds do we hear? 1. How many syllables? Tote. 1 syllable. Let's write the word tote. Now, of course, I'm going into a lot more detail with you here, but this is how this goes. I want you to understand how I do it. Now, I'm going to say, okay, boys and girls, I want you to change tote. So it says change the O-T-E in tote to I-M-E. So now, that's lots of directions. Change the O-T-E in tote to I-M-E. So now we're bringing in the I, we're bringing in the M, and we're bringing in the E. So again, that's a lot of changes right there. And auditory processing, right? Look at all the skills that are included in this. Okay, so let's sound out and blend these sounds together. T, I, time. Let's do it again. T, I, time. What word is it? Time. Good. Let's clap it. Time. How many syllables do you hear? You hear 1 syllable. This is a 1-syllable word. This is the magic E syllable. And again, I'll refer to my syllable fan. This is the mule rule. This is the magic E rule, the mule rule. And I'll say that over and over again so they get used to it. That's the mule rule. That's the mule rule, which means it's the magic E rule, right? So now I'll say, okay, boys and girls, let's write time on our paper. So we're going to write time on our paper. Now what I want you to do is I want you to take time and remember what I said. I always have ing and ed letters that I add. I always have those to add. So I'm going to say I put them in front of them. I always have them for them. I always keep them in like little separate baggies. I'll have ing and ed in separate baggies so I could bring in this syllable lesson. So you know what, boys and girls? I want you to take time and change it to timing. Timing. Let's change it. Let me see what you do. Change time to timing. So now what they're going to do is they're going to figure out. Now many children will do this. They will do this. There's no doubt about it. They're going to leave that E. Absolutely. Now, if you already taught inflected endings and taught that you've got to take that E out to add your inflected ending, great. If not, another mini lesson. This could be another part to this lesson that you can add in. But if you've already taught it, they will do it, hopefully, and they'll apply that, right? So now I say, okay, boys and girls, let's now blend this word. T, I, m, I, n, g. Now, let's do t, I, m, ing. I kind of put ing together. I'm blending it together. So let's put that together now. T, I, m, ing. Timing. So sometimes I'll actually have them sound out or blend each phoneme because we want them to. And again, every phoneme here, every letter here makes it sound. T, I, m, I, n, g. Timing, right? But sometimes I'll say, let's blend ing together since we know that blend. T, I, m, ing. Timing. Great. Let's clap out timing. Time, ing. Let's do it again. Time, ing. What vowel sounds do you hear? We hear I, tie, I, and we hear ing. So we have two vowel sounds, time, ing. And let's separate them now. So now we separate them, and now we have time, but remember, there's no E there, right? There's no E there. We had to take it out because we're adding the inflected ending. So I'm going to say to them, boys and girls, this is E, even though right now, when you look at this, you say, hey, this is a CVC word. Is it? No, because it's not a short vowel. This is still considered that magic E. It's still the mule rule, right? It's still the mule rule because we took out that E to add our ending, right? Still the mule rule because it's still a long vowel. Now let's look at ing. Time, ing. So I'll say to them, boys and girls, what kind of syllable is ing? We talked about open and closed syllables last week or whenever, a while ago. And you know that time, the word time, is a mule rule, magic E syllable. This is a magic E syllable. Well, what is ing? Well, it's got a short vowel, yep. And it's got two consonants after it, yep. So the consonants are closing in the short vowel, yep. So what kind of syllable is this? It's a closed syllable. Again, in the beginning, I taught them closed syllables with CVC words. Then I scaffold. We'll go to the next part. Now I'm going to explain to them how the ing and the ed and the er and the est, all of those endings that we add to words, that's how I teach that those are also closed syllables. Because you can't just throw a fire hose in their mouth and you can't just say, oh, these are all syllables. They won't get it. You've got to scaffold that instruction. So now I go back to time and I say, great job, boys and girls. We wrote time. And I say, boys and girls, change time to dime. So they'll do this, time to dime. And they're moving their letters around. And I always tell them to put their letters back on their strip neatly so they always have them organized on their table. Dime, great. Let's write dime. And then we'll go further. And the next word I'll say, boys and girls, let's change dime to slime. So then they're starting to change dime to slime. There we go. And let's blend this together. Slime. Let's put it together again. Slime. Let's blend the S and L together since that's a blend. Slime. I'll do it multiple ways. Let's clap out slime. Slime. How many vowels do you hear? One syllable word. Magic E. It's the mule rule. Let's write down slime. And we go from here. Now I'm going to do the same thing for slide, ride, rope, hope, slope. And I'm going to add ing to sliding. I'm going to add hoped, ed to hoped, ed to rope. So I'm going to say rope to roped, hope to hoped. Because what that will do is help me teach the syllable rules of open and closed syllables. And this particular lesson was for the magic E rule. Making words is an excellent way to teach syllable rules in this way. But not only are you teaching syllable rules, you are teaching so many other types of skills. We have so many phonemic awareness skills in here. We have, again, phoneme blending, phoneme segmentation. We've got phoneme substitution. I mean, so many important skills. You've got the auditory built in. We've got encoding. So not only do we have decoding when we're decoding and blending these sounds, but then we have encoding when we're now writing those words onto a piece of paper. That's the encoding part of it. Look at how many skills are in this kind of unit, a making words unit. So that's what it would look like for Magic E. Teaching the mule rule, teaching Magic E this is the way I would do it. I would bring in a Magic E making words activity. I'd add ing endings. I'd add ed endings. Other times I might add er. I might add est. I'll add other types of endings so they can see how those different types of endings are open or closed syllables, right? that's where I bring in the other types of syllables. So let me push this away for right now. So that is the making words unit for long vowels. And again, I have this for every long vowel you could possibly imagine. If you want to just do long A, I've got it. Long E, long I, long O, long U. I have them all. I have 2 huge mega bundles of every sound you could possibly imagine. I'll show you that right here. Now, let's talk about, now I'm not going to go into major detail, but we're going to talk about the other syllable types. Now, the next syllable type are controlled vowels. And then we have vowel teams. And then we have the consonant LE at the end, like turtle. So we talk about the bird rule. That's our R controlled vowel. And I'll say that. We talk about AR, ER, IR, OR, UR, all of our bossy R's. And then I'll talk about the toad rule. Those are our vowel teams. So if you look here, what I have, I have these for every single solitary unit. So this particular one is a combination of all the bossy R's. I wouldn't do this one until they're ready for all of the bossy R's, or they've learned all of these bossy R sounds. This would be kind of like a culmination to understanding bossy R. First, I would start with each bossy R sound. So I'd start with AR, I'd go to ER, I'd go to IR, I'd go to UR. I would, again, that's how you scaffold that instruction, right? That's how you do it. So this would be the AR making words. So again, they're gonna do the same thing, just like I showed you with the long vowel magic E. Now we're talking about the bird rule, the R controlled vowel syllable. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. They're going to build yard. We're going to change yard to hard. We're going to go to hark. We're going to go to mark. Maybe mark, I'll have them add an ER on this one. So I'll say, okay, I want them to understand ER. Now, if they add ER to the word mark, what kind of consonant? Mark, What kind of consonant is it? What is that ending part? Oh, that's the bird rule. That's an R-controlled vowel, right? So that ER is another R-controlled vowel syllable, right? I'm sorry, R-controlled syllable, not vowel. So that's how I'll teach it, where, we could add these R-controlled syllables to the ends of word too. Mark, mark, Those have 2 R-controlled syllables in it. Ark, 2 R-controlled syllables in it. So that's how I teach this. Then start. So start, we could add started, starting, starter, right? Then we could go to smart. Perfect way to add EST. So we could change this to smart-est, right? So now I'm teaching them that EST ending, right? So these are the endings I'll bring in to teach the syllable. If I don't want to teach syllables during the lesson, that's fine, but this is the perfect way to incorporate phoneme blending, phoneme segmentation, phonics, encoding, decoding, and syllable instruction. It's the perfect way to do it. It lends itself so well to this because you can really focus on each of the syllables. So then after we do the bird rule, which is the R-controlled vowel syllable, we're going to move on to the next rule, which is our toad rule, which is the vowel teams, those 2 vowels together that make one sound. 2 vowels together that make one sound. And that's when I'll bring in the next activity. Again, it takes a while to teach this, but this is what this is about. When you're teaching the students in this way, in a systematic way, they understand it and become great at attacking words they don't know. So here's an example of my vowel teams. This one has AI, AY. I've got them for all the other vowel teams. So we do the same type of activity. Another great reason to use an activity like this is the consistency of it. You don't have to teach differently every single solitary time. They'll know exactly what to do all the time. So that's what's so great about this type of activity, to teach so many skills. Phonics, phonemic awareness, syllables, just all of the things you need to do, right? So this is an example of a vowel teams. Again, I have this for every vowel team you could possibly imagine. We also have them for our diphthongs. We also have them for our digraphs because we need to teach those sounds. We need to teach that digraphs make one sound. C and H make ch. It's not k, right? So we want to teach them digraphs as well, and our diphthongs. We bring in diphthongs in vowel teams. Even though they're called diphthongs, we have the oi and the ow and the ow. We bring them in during vowel teams. So that's what would happen on this type of activity. So that's how I would teach this one. Now, for this activity, for the last syllable, it is that, we call it the turtle rule. Why do we call it the turtle rule? Because it has that T-L-E at the end. So we're going to learn the turtle rule. It's the consonant L-E at the end of a word, right? Consonant L-E. That's what this stands for. We call it the turtle rule. So now here's an example of the turtle rule. And this is actually what it looks like when you first open it up. So what the students have is they have this paper. They take their quick scissor. They cut them up and they make their letters. It's quick, quick, quick. And again, because it's consistent every single week, it takes seconds. And then I start teaching them. We start doing making words. We're blending. We're encoding. All those skills. They make cable. Then they make table. Then they make tackle. And I say, boys and girls, let's now. And remember, now they're going cable, right? So when they're building cable, what do we have? C-A, what kind of syllable is that? Cable. What's K? C-A. Oh, that's an open syllable. It's a consonant and long vowel. Open syllable. Now we have that B-L-E at the end. Bull. Consonant L-E. Cable. So in the word cable, we have an open syllable and a consonant L-E. The turtle rule. The turtle rule. This is the turtle rule. Consonant L-E at the end. So we have an open syllable, closed syllable. There's table. We're changing cable to table. So I'll say, let's clap it out. Table. Table. How many syllables? 2 syllables. What's the first syllable? Tay, A. Oh, that's an open syllable. It's got a long vowel. And then it ends with the B-L-E. That's the turtle rule. Consonant L-E. Let's go to tackle. Tackle. There it is. Tack. T-A-C. Tack. What kind of syllable is that? It's a closed syllable. We have 2 consonants and that short vowel. Tack. So that's a closed syllable. Cull. That's the turtle rule. Consonant L-E. So you're teaching open and closed. You're teaching all of the skills here. Pickle. Pick. Cool, right? So when you're doing these types of activities with your kids, it's great to have a whiteboard in front of you and also not only show them with their letters that they're doing in front of them, but you write it out. So if you're doing pickle, right? We say, okay, pick is our first one. Pick, cull. What kind of syllable is that? Consonant, vowel, consonant, short vowel. Closed, cull, consonant L-E, consonant plus L-E. That is the turtle rule. So these are the 2 types of syllables we have here. We have closed and consonant L-E. Those are the 2 syllables. Again, explicit teaching of these types of activities is exactly what your students need. So incorporating all of these skills in a lesson is so important. Now, one last thing I want to share with you, which I think adds a lot to the activity, is if you want to bring in some fun little engagement tools. Again, if your kids can handle this. I probably wouldn't do this in the beginning, but once we're doing it a lot and they're used to it, I might bring in my fingers. So when they're pointing to the words and they're blending, we could use our fingers, or we could use our flashlights. Hold on. Or we could use our little flashlights. So I love to bring little engagement tools like this, pointing to the words, blending the words, and it just makes it exciting for them. These tiny little things that you could bring into your class, into your lessons, just makes a huge difference for the students and creates a tremendous amount of engagement. of engagement. So I've got blue, I've got green, I've got red, and then I use my googly eye eyeballs. So if I want to just spice it up a little bit, or they're dragging on me that day, this is what I'll do. If I see them dragging, I'll pull these bad boys out. You would think I just brought out, bricks of gold. So my friends, this is exactly how I teach all of the different syllable division rules. The first time I'm teaching syllable division, I do it the way I taught you in the first part of this video. And I will post that link up here. I absolutely teach first clapping out syllables, and we do open and closed syllables in the beginning. We write haikus. I do a mentor text. This is how I get them into understanding what syllables are. And then we go into the more difficult syllables, understanding like those added inflected endings, what types of syllables they are. How do we know what syllables they are? And by picking out words and building words and using all of these types of skills will help them really cement their knowledge and be able to apply it to words that they don't know when they come to them in their reading. And especially help them with their writing as well. Because once you teach them syllable rules and you teach them blending and blending and segmenting, they're going to use those skills and apply them to their writing as well. So that's exactly how I teach the rest of the syllables. I do it in small groups. We bring out our making words activities and we do clapping, we separate them, we add on our inflected endings, and I teach them the other types of syllables and how we divide those syllables and how we look at words and understand what each syllable in the word is. Because then when they come to information, they can do it. Right? Information, right? This is the whole point. Teaching them with smaller words and segmenting and adding endings and teaching them what type of syllables they are creates a very strong understanding of these types of words and syllable division, which will help with their reading, it will help with decoding multisyllabic words, and it will absolutely help with their writing as well. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, don't forget to download that freebie. I've got this freebie for you, so download that. And I absolutely have these making words units available to you as well. So definitely check those out, because truly this was a game changer in my classroom. So I really urge you to check these out because it's simple, it's easy, it's consistent, and it gets results. And you hit on so many essential foundational skills that need to be taught when it comes to systematic and explicit phonics instruction. So that's how we do it. So I hope you again enjoyed this video. Please, if you're not a subscriber, please click that subscribe button and that little bell next to it. I would so appreciate it. And comment below. I love to hear your comments and I love trying to respond to all of them. So definitely respond below, ask your questions, tell me what you thought of the video. And again, don't forget to download that freebie in the description below. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and happy teaching. Bye for now.